Today we're going to look at famous uncommons in Magic the Gathering that are just strictly unplayable. I'll start it off with Avalanche Riders. We got one red, three generic, two. What was this guy? A human nomad with Echo. You didn't care about that Echo because Avalanche Riders is unaffected by summoning sickness. However, the reason you play this card is because when it comes into play, it's gonna blow up target land. There weren't a whole lot of land destruction back then. Well, they had the Stone Rains, the Pillages, the Wastelands, and you add in the Avalanche Riders, and basically your opponent had no mana. I got no lands. And then if it dies, who cares? If it dies, it dies. But now this card is dead because this card is just strictly unplayable now. No one will play 4 mana Stone Rain even if it comes with a shock attacked to it. Do banned cards count? Absolutely not, because those cards are still good, generally speaking. But I did say famous cards, so maybe they didn't have to be good in the first place. They could have been famous for the wrong reasons. Unplayable because bad. Recoil, that's an interesting one. That's a bounce Demir card, I think. We got a black-blue 1 generic instant. Return target permanent to its owner's hand. Then that player discards a card. This came out in Invasion. And if I'm not mistaken, that also counts as Psychotog. It also reminds me of Ugh, this is the ugly Psychotog. They're all ugly in my opinion, which came out in Odyssey, because I think Recoil was in the Psychotog decks. Does this card see any play anymore? I doubt it. Is there even a pre-modern deck playing this card? Black, blue, 1 generic for a 1/2 a Tog. Discard a card from your hand. Psychotog gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Remove 2 cards in your graveyard from the game. Psychotog gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Was a huge deck at the time in like these Demir control combo decks. So Psychotog, Recoil, amazing cards at the time. Hold on, is this a common? It's pauper legal. Hold on, this is disqualified. King Ginger, this is a common. It's not even uncommon. Look at that set symbol. So this is also disqualified. This is gonna be difficult. Or did it ever get upgraded to uncommon? You know what? We're gonna count if it's ever been okay, whatever. If it was upgraded uncommon, I guess it's we're gonna just say if it was uncommon in one set, then it's uncommon. I guess. Although it feels like cheating. Big cheats. Big cheats. Lobotomy. The old, I believe this is the old way to like deal with combo decks. This is the old way. Before they made like things like, Slaughter Games. And now there's a lot of 3 mana cards that basically do the same thing. We got a black, blue, 2 generic. Sorcery. Look at target player's hand and choose a card other than basic land card from it. Search that player's graveyard, hand, and library for all cards with the same name as the chosen card and remove them from the game. Then that player shuffles his or her hand. This might have been like the first type of card, like anti-combo deck card in existence. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure on that. But this definitely would precede a bunch of other ones like Slaughter Games, for example, like way better, more powerful, more efficient versions of this card. JM Day Warehouse says, man, Psychotog was the nuts back in the day. Where's my Psychotog? Well, did I get rid of it? Was nuts back in the day. I still have my old Psychotog deck in my closets for special occasions. I just don't want to pick apart that deck. So there are some decks out there, we just don't want to tear them apart. We just want to enjoy. I wish I could enjoy Mono Blue Devotion. That's a deck I wish I could enjoy, but I don't think anyone's going to make the Ravnica Theros block standard a format. Especially since a lot of people didn't even like that format back in the day. I feel like a lot of the charms, like Trevis Charm, could make the list. Let's look at Trevis Charm. I don't even know what charm this is. Did these ever see play? So blue, white, green, instants. Like these were the OG. Do you know what? Hold on. What was the Jund Charm? Jund Charm did see play. Because all the Jund cards saw play. So it's a green, red, black instant. Choose one. Exile all cards from target player's graveyard. Pretty good. That's not bad. Main deck graveyard hate. Jun Charm deals 2 damage to each creature. Pyroclasm? Am I right? Or put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. So you got like a little bit of a giant growth, like a permanent giant growth. Or so, I guess not a giant growth. What gives +2/+2 out there? I don't know. So a permanent buff to a creature in creature combat. It's instant speed. You could also nuke your opponent's creatures at 2 toughness at instant speed. So Jun Charm was a good card. They used to see a lot of play. What is that? The Sprouting Thrinax or whatever? Yeah, this guy also, that used to be a Jun staple. It was a staple of Standard. I think I saw a little play beyond that. Green, red, black for a 3/3. It's a lizard? What's the original lizard like? It's the same looking print. Okay, it's still a lizard. And when it's put into a graveyard from play, you get 3 1/1 green sapling creature tokens into play. That's value. You can't go against that value these days. It's like, it's pretty close to seeing play today, in my opinion. All right, we got Boulder with the super chat. Path to Exile. Now, honestly, Boulder, it still sees play. Like, it still sees some play, especially in, like, Hammer Time decks. Like, if you have to deal with a particular creature, this card still is okay. It's being pushed out significantly. It's now a fringe sideboard card, but it's still around. It's still around. Exile target creature, its controller can search the library for a basic land card put onto the battlefield tapped. So it's been completely superseded by March of Otherworldly Light, Solitude, Prismatic Ending, what's also it called? Leyline Binding. But some decks, like Hammer Time, if you're like a white base deck, you still need access to a 1 mana. Deal with that creature on the battlefield. Path to Exile still does it for you. Abe! My man! One of my favorite Izzet cards, Electrolyze. A lot of people love Electrolyze. People want to see Electrolyze come back. I bet not spell Electrolyze very well. Electrolyze. There we go. Basically, Izzet fans, Splinter Twin fans, Blue Moon fans, rejoice. We got a red-blue 1 generic instant. It's crazy. I mean, so it's a fire that draws a card. It's essentially what it is. You know, fire and ice? You basically mold those 2 things together, and this is more or less what it does. Because you can, like, you go ping, ping on something, draw a card. But for 3 mana now, it's unplayable. Also, it doesn't even kill a whole lot of things these days. There's not enough 1 toughness creatures to take advantage of it. Ren and 6 is like the new Electrolyze, I guess. And also Fury, I guess, to some extent. But basically, the 1 toughness creature, this saw the most play in Modern. But now the 1 toughness creatures are going extinct, and even faster with Orcish Bowmasters in the mix. So yeah, so goodbye Electrolyze. Basically, it's a shock for 3 mana that draws a card. Shock no good. Shock no good. Soul Ring. You troll. Trolling me. Okay, Mark Zilla says Brutal Suppression. Was this card any good at the time? Red enchantment. Activated abilities on rebel cards cost an additional sack of land to play. I'm going to assume this saw play. Because back then, Rebels was an actual deck. I was there. I played against the Rebels decks. I can't say they sucked, but I thought it was like a really crappy creature-based deck that somehow won for no reason. That reminds me, Blastoderm. Oh, it's common. Okay, forget it. Okay, I thought that was uncommon. I thought that card is so good, I thought that was uncommon. Duress. Power creeped out of the game. So it still sees some playing with 93, not 93, 94. Oh my god, look at all the Duresses. I want the OG Duress. I like this art the most. Pre-modern, I still think plays this card because, well, they just don't have a whole lot of options for hand discard. But this was the OG hand discard. We got a black sorcery. Look at target opponent's hand and choose a non-creature, non-land card from there. That player discards that card. Do you know what's really wild? How many years went by before we had access to hand discard? What a game this was. And you know, it came out just during the combo summer of the Urza Saga era. Best duress is Strixhaven Japanese print. Let's go look. Let's see if you're BSing us or not. This one? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, I guess. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Young Pyromancer. Oh yeah, by the way, duress is just pushed way out because of like Thoughtseize, Unmask, Grief, Similium, Inquisition of Kozilek, many better cards. But why is this gone? Young Pyromancer is a red 1 generic 2/1 human shaman. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 1/1 red elemental creature token. Is it because of like Fury? Is it because of Renin 6? Again, like I said earlier, the 1 toughness creatures, they've gone extinct. And if there's not so many 1 toughness creatures in the format, Electrolyze got worse. Maybe Young Pyromancer got worse because of all the 1 toughness hate. Outside of that, I mean, this card, it could still be playable. I mean, you play instants and sorcery, you get value. So 1 toughness is why it's gone. Renin 6 killed it. Gotta kill Renin 6 to unlock. To be honest, I think if we ban Renin 6, it probably wouldn't even matter for the 1 toughness creatures. They're dead. These days, if you want something to see modern or legacy play, it's gotta have 2 toughness on it. This Delver of Secrets is a common. And it still sees play in legacy. So get out of here. Every card that used energy. Oh, okay, so what's the big one? Palin something? No, I don't remember the card. What's the big energy card? You spin the wheel, put a big creature in play. No, that's a rare. Basically every uncommon, yeah. Sorry, basically every energy card, but I don't remember any of the uncommons. You got to give me card examples if you want your example to show up on the show. Ragavan is the only 1 toughness creature allowed in Modern because it can attack at instant speed and get protected from sorceries. Okay, Young Pyromancer was actually good, but Renin 6 is a problem. Now Orcish Bowmasters, yeah, more problems for Young Pyromancer. Too young. We need old Pyromancer with like as a 2/3 creature or something. Ghost Quarter. I can't tell. Does this see play anymore? This saw a lot of play, but now with the addition of like Demolition Field and Field of Ruin, maybe not. I wouldn't say it's completely unplayable, but I can't remember if it sees play in Legacy. Anyway, tap, add a colorless, tap, sack it, destroy target land, anything, even the basics. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put onto the battlefield, and shuffle their library. I think it still sees a little bit of play. Ghost Quarter sees play in Legacy lands. Why? They have access to Wasteland, for crying out loud. What is this, a budget Wasteland? Sarah Angel. Okay. You're not wrong. This probably saw a lot of play back in 1993-94. At what point did Sarah Angel get power crept out of the format? I guess technically immediately, because it can't compete with like Channel Fireball. But outside of that, yeah, like Sarah Angel, very weird card. Just, it's famous for being like one of the biggest creatures from Alpha. So if you try to play fair Magic, sure, it's great, but now it's just absolute trash. Vampire Nighthawk. Does anyone Commander even? I remember this is like a Commander staple. Look how many times they reprinted this card. They've reprinted into Oblivion. I remember this card used to be like $1. And now it's very far from that. Does anyone still play with this card? Still, it's not something you want to attack into. Vampire Nighthawk is still amazing! Alright. Maybe this doesn't qualify. Them Commander players will tell you otherwise. So it's still playable. Jacob Mirror Regery. So for anyone in the Merfolk space, this is a pretty clunky, unplayable Merfolk now. At one time, we didn't have a lot of Merfolk cards. We played whatever was available. This was one of the better ones. It was a Lord for 3 mana. Whenever you cast a Merfolk spell, you tap or untap a target permanent. But now for 3 mana, it just dies to anything. It's not even worth it. These days, you play a creature, it better be indestructible or comes with some sort of ETB. You gotta get that value, people. It's all about the value. Make sure it comes with value. The Rack used to be an entire deck. It still is. It's very fringe, though. So you got the rack for 1 generic. It comes into play, choose an opponent. Only one opponent. At the beginning of the chosen player's upkeep, the rack deals X damage to that player, where X is 3 minus the number of cards in his or her hand. The Voodoo Doll. Quite a voodoo doll. Cephalillusionist still sees play. Some people do not know the legacy metagame. Apparently. Welcome, David. I'm glad you caught my stream as well. Terror is a good one. If that's an uncommon. Oh god, there's so many. But it's a pauper card. I don't know, what was the original Terror? Was it ever upgraded? No, it looks like this was always common. Terror doesn't qualify either. Today's show is hard. What was an uncommon that saw a lot of play now that is absolute crap? Okay, I like that one. That's a good one. Stand Still. That used to be a boss in a variety decks. There was like a really cool control deck called, like, I think it was called Land Still, where you just play a bunch of creature lands because that's your win condition, and you slam Standstill down. And if your opponent wants to do nothing, you're like, okay, that's fine. I got all my creature lands. I'm not casting anything. Because Standstill is a blue 1 generic enchantment. When a player plays a spell, sack it. If you do each of that, a player's opponent draws 3 cards. Ancestral Recall! It's just this mind-blowing card advantage. Now, the problem with this card today is a lot of decks get onto the battlefield real quickly. You get them Ragavans on the battlefield. You got, like, you know, Delver of Secrets. You got Dragon Rage Chandler. So somebody is already starting the game by turn 1. So usually you can't get Standstill out fast enough to make it worthwhile. And if you draw in a late game, it really sucks. So if you're behind, it's bad. And when you're ahead, maybe you're not even ahead enough. And like one way of playing around Standstill is like wait for your opponent to get like 7 cards in hand, crack the Standstill, make them draw a bunch of cards, and then they have to discard to hand size. So that's one way of playing around Standstill. Take your time. But at the time, it was a boss. This is really, it like locks your opponent down, and if they want to break the Standstill, then it's insane card advantage. Landstill was okay with counter slivers. Oh, that's cool. I love the idea of counter slivers. Ether Vial still sees play, Beanpot. And Ether Vial is an uncommon, believe it or not. Ether Vial plus Standstill was good at the time. Standstill versus Bowmaster equals massive ouch. Oh yeah. No, because if they play Bowmasters, it's still in the stack. I crack my Standstill, I draw my 3 cards. It doesn't keep track of how many cards I drew that turn. Squirrel's Nest. I like that one. I guess some Commander players could still play it for just the hell of it. Where is Squirrel's Nest? I know what you're talking about. Or maybe it's called Squirrel Nest. 1 squirrel. You see that? See that bandit? It's a singular squirrel. Not many squirrels around here. Green, 1 generic enchant land. Enchant land has tap. Create a 1/1 screen squirrel creature token. That in combination of opposition was amazing. This is like one way to abuse it. And then with all those tokens, you tap an untapped creature you control, tap target artifact, creature, or land. Anyone still play with opposition? I think this is a cool card that nobody plays anymore. I gotta bring opposition back. I have no idea how I'm gonna do that, but I'm gonna bring opposition back. Someone suggested Watch Wolf. Let's look at Watch Wolf. The hell am I looking at? Is this famous? To be honest, the name rings a bell. Where is it? It came from here? It's a 2-mana 3/3. It's a 2-mana 3/3 puppy. What do you guys think? Is this a famous? I mean, it definitely doesn't see any play. I will give it this. It sees no play anymore. It is now unplayable. I have it in a deck. All right. Well, Mr. Deadhead said it's playable. It saw play at some time. I don't know if this is famous though. I have to admit, the word Watch Wolf rings a bell, but like I don't know where or why. It was a very strong card in its day. 2-mana 3/3. That's broken. Oh, it's pretty sad. Tavashel. All right, Kurt Ape. That's right, Kurt Ape. The monkey. It got downgraded. It was definitely, I believe it was uncommon for, like, was it mythic at one point? The hell does this mean? It is the Kurt Ape. That's how special it is. Yeah, so it was uncommon for an incredible long period of time. The 1 red 1/1 gets +1/+2 as long as you control a forest. It puts the fur in Fury. Well, there's no fur on Fury, that's for sure. On the actual Fury. It did win a legacy event during the Treasure Cruise era, believe it or not. And one of the most busted periods of Legacy's history. For some reason, someone was trolling with Kurt Ape and then accidentally won the tournament. Which was funny. Alright, what is Argentina says? Evasion action. Evasion action. Right. Maybe evasive action? Blue 1 generic instant domain. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 1 for each land type among lands you control. This came from Apocalypse? I don't remember anyone playing this card. That never... Well... maybe I'm wrong? Maybe I'm wrong? I don't think so. Was this a famous card? Maybe I'm wrong. Like, I don't know. I don't remember the metagame back then. Blood Red. That's a hot card. That is a super banger. Man, this... Can anyone believe that this card was once on the modern ban list? It's a green, red, 2 generic, 3/2 elf berserker with haste and cascade. And now sees no play at all. It's gone. What was my favorite? Whoa, look at these. Look at these Bloodbraid elf arts. This is great. I was going to say this one's my favorite. I think it still is. It's very anime-like looking to me. Hypnotic Spectre. Did they upgrade this thing to rare? I swear this was uncommon. I could be wrong. Maybe this was never an uncommon. I think it was uncommon back then. I don't think this was a rare. It's a black 1 generic 2/2 flying. An opponent an opponent damaged by Spectre must discard a card at random from his or her hand. Ignore this effect if opponent has no cards left in hand. Yeah, that's fine. It's all rare? Always was rare? Alright. In that case. It's just gonna be one of those shows where we just have a really hard time naming cards. Mother of Runes definitely still sees play. Yeah, still sees play in everywhere. We already mentioned Path to Exile. Still sees play in Hammer Time. Good God. Okay, Circular Logic. That's a card. Circular Logic. This was like one of the better. It's Counterspell, right? Circular Logic. Alright, blue 2 generic instant. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 1 for each card in your graveyard. And it's got Madness for single blue. So if you discard a card, that's awkward though. You gotta discard at instant speed somehow. But you know what the card was to do that? Wild Mongrel. Was this uncommon at the time? I want to say it was oh, no, it wasn't. It was common. Alright, but you used Wild Mongrel to be able to play your Circular Logic. That was... Hold on, what was the first set this was in? Yeah, good. I'm just confirming it was uncommon. I'm double checking you people. Icy Manipulator! From Bulky. Now that's a card that sucks. But this card is really good in draft. 4 mana artifact, pay 1 tap. Tap target artifact, creature, or land. I don't know what to compare this to today. This was so good back then. And even you even look at the 93, 94 decks, I don't know, I think they still play some of it. It's like basically 4 mana permanent removal for whatever is the largest threat on the battlefield. Really, really good card. But by today's standards, just absolute trash. No one wants to play it. No one wants this thing. It was banned at one point? That's wild. Icy Manipulator. Too powerful. Locking down our lands. It's basically land destruction. Ramen, what about the talismans? Like Talisman of Progress. I don't know. Some of them see... Maybe they don't really see play anymore in Modern. Some of the talismans saw play and then, like... No, these were always bad. Alright. I'm going to agree. Oh, that's a good one. Forbid. There we go. Now we're talking. Speaking my language. Wow, did this get upgraded to a rare at one point? Blue, 1 generic. It's an interrupt with buyback. And that's what it was. It was counter target spell, but you had buyback. Choose and discard 2 cards. So you just discard 2 useless donuts. And then you start countering stuff again. Really insane counter spell at the time. I think you could also... I can't remember if anyone like comboed this with Gush. Like, you know, Gush, put cards back into your hand, and now you have like random cards to discard to forbid. Ah, there we go. River Boa from Markzilla. I still think this card looks good. It's a 2-mana 2/1 with Island Walk, and you can regenerate it for a single green, for crying out loud. Regenerate for a single green. But it doesn't see play. Regenerate, I think regeneration is underrated. Like, there's hardly any there's hardly any good creatures with regenerate cheap enough, but this one is it. So, Trip says Forbid might see a little bit of Modern play if it were there, I think. I don't think so. I think at 3 mana, discarding 2 cards probably is just a little too much in Modern. River Boa is still playable. Well, you show us, Liquid Soulfly. You show us. You make the deck. All right, we got Redco here. Spinning Wheel Kick. Is that a real card? What the hell is this? Green, XX, sorcery. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each of X target creature and or planeswalkers. Where did this see play? Maybe... I don't know. I honestly did not play the Kamigawa standard Modern metagame. Okay, now we're getting like real... Anyway, not very... Okay, I will say this much. This card is definitely not famous. If any. Yeah, when was this ever played? I'm getting trolled by Redco. Alright. Well, what do we have? Sensei's Dividing Top? That card is banned. It's still very good. People would play it if it was unbanned. Finks or Remat? Let's go look at Kitchen Finks. Yeah, Kitchen Finks. Insane card. 3 mana, 3/2. Enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life, and it's got Persist. So great on blocking duty, gain at stabilizing the board, gaining some life, padding your life total, and now it's gone. I don't even know why it's gone. It doesn't make any sense. Like, this just seems great today. Maybe it's less effective because of all the exiling effects, like Leyline Binding and stuff, which Leyline Binding sees play everywhere. Is there Leyline Binding also in Commander? Are Commander players also feeling the wrath of Leyline Binding? Because all the other formats are. I think Crackling Drake still sees play in Pioneer. Harmonize? Maybe at a competitive level, this card is dead. The green 2 generic sorcery, draw 3 cards. It's a little bit awkward. So you know what? I'll allow it. Alright, you know where to find all these old classics? If you want to build those old decks and maybe play them with a buddy, you can get them at FusionGamingOnline.com. Get all your Harmonizes. Draw all your cards. Ancestral Recall for 4 mana. And you know what to do. You know the secret code when you're buying at Fusion Gaming Online, don't you? Don't you? Use the secret code Nikachu. Because that'll get you 5% off all your purchases. And also supports me. Damn it. And we're also going to thank Mana Traders, the premier place for renting Magic cards online. If you want to play... I think you can still play a lot of these cards in 93, 94. 93, sorry, not pre-modern. Pre-modern is the format that you can play with all the classics that are unplayable otherwise. They're basically playing standard, whatever, all the standard block archetypes beyond, before 2005. So you go be part of those leagues, and you can also play pre-modern by playing, using my coupon code, Nikachu_B3R for 10% off your first 2 months when renting with Mana Traders. Alright, back over here. I saw someone mention Burning Tree Emissary. I want Burning Tree Emissary. Galatzen. We have not hit it. And that card, it sees playing some janky decks every so often. Got downgraded to common? Good God. Okay, so it was originally an uncommon, though. This was such a lottery card! You know, depending on how many Burning Tree Emissaries you have in your hand, you basically would win the game on the spot. So it was a hybrid. It was Gruul for a 2/2 human shaman. Enters the battlefield, add a green and a red to your mana pool. So if you have, like... So basically, a Burning Tree Emissary can put into play another Burning Tree Emissary, which is disgusting. So if your opponent's on the play, they go like land pass, and they go land, Burning Tree, Burning Tree, Burning Tree, and then some other random creature, you're just like, you know it's over. You knew it was over. But the problem with this is it's still like a pretty clunky card, and it's really bad to draw late game. And if your opponent like deals with all this Burning Tree army, I mean, they're just stone dead. It's over. Shamans was a deck and Explorer for a moment. Oof, a moment. Burning Tree still sees play in Pioneer. Crackling Drake does not. I could swear Crackling Drake sees play in Pioneer. I swear! I'm gonna find some Blue-Red Phoenix deck that does. Who plays Burning Tree in Pioneer? Burning Tree is still a staple in Storm decks. What? What is going on here? In Storm? But why? Well, this is my show, so I say Burning Tree is unplayable. Maybe I just don't know. Alright, what do we got next? What the hell is Megrim? Black 2 generic enchantment. Whenever an opponent discards card, it deals 2 damage to that player. Alright then. S. Lee with Signal Pest. I think Affinity just evolved. Yeah, this was like a pretty staple card in the Affinity decks for an eternity. 1 mana, 0/1. It's such a weird creature. It's got Battle Cry, so when it attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0. So it's like a Lord, but it's not. It has to attack. But it can't be blocked except by creatures with flying or reach, which is another weird thing. So it's like it flies, but it doesn't fly. By the way, did you know that this is the head of the Signal Pest right here? This is just a big arm and claw. I thought this was the head over here, and then everything else was irrelevant. There's some arts, you just don't know what the hell is going on. It's just not clear whatsoever. I played 2 copies of Crackling Drake and Is It Pioneer. There we go. Thank you very much. I'm gonna give you a huge super chat for that one. Thank you for proving my... I just need one person. Library of Alexandria. It's even on the reserve list. It doesn't count. It's banned. That's why. By unplayable, we mean bad. It's been pushed out of the format. If it's banned for being too good, it's still good. Because it's too good. But we're not counting it that way. Alright, wait. I thought it was ahead for like 10 plus years. I know! Armadillo Cloak. Armadillies. Or who plays Armadillo? It's such a classic card. White, green, 1 generic. Aura. The creature gets +2/+2, has trample, and also, it's not lifelink. When it deals damage, you gain that much life. Don't laugh, it works. Wow, what a flavor text. Basically, to rub it into anyone who's making fun of the Armadillo Cloak player. I thought it was ahead until 10 seconds ago, yeah. You're today's years old to find out this is a big claw on the actual Signal Pest. It's like some weird alien. Okay, Burning Tree is used often in the new Ancient Imperiosaur deck. You can get it out turn 2-ish with that deck as a 2020. Okay, I'm unfamiliar with that deck. Maybe Burning Tree doesn't belong on this list. People are fighting back. Okay, Screw Path, Crib Swap. The hell is this? White 2 generic, Tribal Instant Shapeshifter. What is even going on here? So it's a changeling card. Exile target creature. Its controller creates a 1/1 colorless shapeshifter creature token with changeling. I've never heard of that card. Bet still see some play though. Remand and Deceiver Exarch. Remand has no home now. It's a blue 1 generic instant. Counter target spell. If the spell is countered this way, put it into its owner's hand instead of into that player's graveyard. Draw a card. Used to be so good. Oh, it was so good. Remand so hot right now. Stop playing all the art. Like, if you're a combo deck that played blue, you played Remand. Maybe the problem is are there any blue combo decks these days? Are there any combo decks these days? Combo decks are just absolutely wiped off the floor. It's like it's a big, you know, combo decks are hurting pretty bad. Maybe that's the problem. If we had more blue combo decks, maybe Remand would still see play. Now it's just like blue tempo-y decks. But it was really good at slowing the game down. Like the Remand decks, they're not trying to deal with the spell permanently. They just need to slow the game down, draw more cards, get into their combo kill, and then win. That's all they cared about. Core Firewalker. Oh, I like that one. I like that. Look at the original one that was uncommon. It's a white 2/2, protection from red, and whenever a player casts a red spell, you may gain 1 life. It is the ultimate red killer. Like, red players hate this card. And maybe red players should just be happy the Core Firewalker isn't around anymore. Probably it could come back, like, under the right circumstances. If red decks take over a particular format, I mean, the way you beat them is just Core Firewalker. The more cards they play, the more life you gain. And it's just this big roadblock on the battlefield. Although I have to admit that the fact that red players now have, like, Bone Crusher Giant to play Stomp and damage can't be prevented gives them a little bit of a chance to beat this protection from red nonsense. Like, if they attack, you block, you play Stomp on your opponent, and damage can't be prevented that turn, then the Core Firewalker will die. Core Firewalker made every burn deck insta-rage quit. I know. I was one of them. I played a burnish deck in Standard at the time. And when I faced this card for the first time, it's like, this card's unbeatable! Back then, this was like the last of the most oppressive sideboard cards when they designed them. Burn sideboards Firewalkers sometimes. Oh, God. Oh, yeah! Because it's whenever a player casts a red spell, any player, it could be you. It's very funny. Go for the throat, says Razagor. What's the OG go for the throat? Black 1 generic instant. Destroy. Target non-artifact creature. That's it. So it's strictly better. It's like strictly better Doomblade. No, maybe strictly awkward Doomblade. Doomblade is just non-black creature. What was Doomblade? I want to say it's non-artifact, non-black. Nope, just non-black. All right, so it's alternate Doomblade. But yeah, who plays this thing anymore? We have so many better removal spells at 1 mana or 0 mana. 2 mana, too big. Too much. Oh my, that is such a good one. That deserves a super chat just by itself. Flame Tongue Kavu. They should have printed this in Modern. They didn't. What a blunder. They put in like a futuresque flame tongue halfling or some crap like that. This card in Modern would have been very interesting. Red 3 generic for a 4/2 Kavu. Enters the battlefield, deals 4 damage to target creature. It's like a pretty sizable creature that just snipes off basically anything when it enters the battlefield. Just Okay, I got my creature, and it's a removal spell. I guess it's comparable to a Chupacabra, but it's a 4-power creature. It's a lot. It's pretty big. It's a budget fury. Isn't Blightning a rare? Pretty sure. Oh, right. Oh, you mean the old Blightning. I thought you were talking about Lightning Skelemental for some stupid reason. Blightning. What's a common? Alright, disqualified. Is there any uncommon versions? Wow, this was always a common. It's a good card, though. Really, really good card. Was Ball Lightning ever uncommon? Were you nuts? I think this was always a rare. Now you show me one uncommon Ball Lightning. Go for it. Failed. Failed miserably. Station Disaster. Pteramander in place of Delver. That's a good suggestion. The Pteramander. The standard all-star. Also a little bit of a historic all-star before Alchemy destroyed the format. We got a blue 1/1 Salamander Drake with flying. And for 8 mana, you can adapt 4. The ability costs 1 less to activate for each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard. So you effectively could have a 1/1 early on, chipping away damage, and then at any moment, you can adapt it. I can't remember. Could you do this at instant speed? I think you could. Yeah, this was an instant speed interaction, which was insane. So you could have a 1/1 that upgrades into a 5/5. It's too bad that this card actually can't see play outside of that, outside of those formats. It looks like it has potential, but this Adapt 4 is just a little too expensive. Renaissance Ball Lightning was uncommon. What? Which one was Renaissance? I don't know what you're talking about. You're talking about something unrelated to Magic the Gathering. You people got me confused. Gifted Aetherborn. Is that what? Was this good at the time? I guess so. Black 2/3 Death Touch Lifelink Vampire. Not particularly competitive right now. I always thought this should be competitive, but then when you play it, it's like, it's more defensive than offensive, and you can't really just attack it. Like, if you attack, it's just going to trade with some random creature. Okay, we got Redco with Cut Down. Never heard of it. Black instant. Destroy target creature with total power and toughness 5 or less. Where's this from? From Dominaria United? Isn't this like a new card? How famous is this card? It doesn't sound very famous. Lightning Helix, believe it or not, still sees play in the burn decks in Modern, so it's still there. Today's show is hard. Very, very hard. Who says it can't see play? Dragon Rage Chandler can probably make it work. Oh, well, the problem is, like, there's just better cards. You'll just play with your Dragon Rage Chandler and then nothing else. Was Scavenging Ooze downgraded? I thought this was always a rare. Do 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 do. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Okay, Arrogant Worm. Yeah, that sounds like a card I've heard of. How arrogant this worm is. Oh, another Madness card. That's why I remember it. Green 3 generic 4/4 creature with trample. Or you can Madness it into play with 3 mana. Yeah, that was an all-star at the time. You need to trust Magicus and do Fanatic of Mogus. Ah, that is a very good one. That is the Devotion All-Star, actually. I bet this could see more play in the right deck. So it's a red 3 generic 4/2. When it enters the battlefield, it deals damage to each opponent equal to your devotion to red. That is an insane... when that thing's on the stack, I know I'm basically dead. It will one-shot kill you. If the board wasn't bad enough, and you're like, okay, I've stabilized, at any point, your opponent could top deck Fanatic of Mogus and just blow you away. Brad says, Azure Drake or Counterspell. Let's look at the Azure Drake. What? It is a 4-mana 2/4 flyer. I get maybe at the time it was good. I want to say like this I saw like a 93-94 deck, or maybe it was a pre-modern deck with cards like this in it. Maybe there just isn't a whole lot of decent flyers in blue. They're all garbage flyers. Sea Drake was the card, not Azure Drake. Okay, let's look up Sea Drake. Thank you so much, Bulky. Okay, when Sea Drake, blue, 2 generic, 4/3, when it enters the battlefield, return 2 target lands you control to their owner's hands. Is this an old... Oh, this is an old card. I didn't know that. This actually looks like a Modern Horizons card. 3-mana, 4/3 flyer. Put some lands into your hand, and you got the Sea Drake thing. Oh, that's wild. Soul Ring is used everywhere, including Commander. Soul Ring is down. Risen Raven, one of the most broken cards right now. In every format that it can be played, it's a super strong card. I like the Sea Drake suggestion. People coming up with this absolute random, random suggestions today. Michael, did we do Sarah Angel? We did do Sarah Angel. We'll do it again. Just for you, Michael. I don't know what to say about this card. Turn 1, Soul Ring. Turn 2, some other angel. Turn 3, Sarah Angel. I guess? Now you could go Soul Ring into Soul Ring. You could get turn 2 Sarah Angel out back then. Turn 1 Soul Ring into turn 2 Sarah Angel. Yep, that's possible. Alright, now we're getting super chats. People are getting siphoned on time. Millstone. That was like the de facto way to win the game back then. 2-mana artifact, pay 2, tap. Target player puts the top 2 cards of their library into their graveyard. Yeah, there is a point in everyone's Magic career that you play against a deck with no creatures. You think you're winning. Like, how are they going to beat me? They got no creatures because it's a control deck. And then you find out, oh, they don't need creatures. They can just beat me with some, like a... These days, Millstone is, like, represented by Planeswalkers. Like, a Planeswalker will do the job by itself. But back in the day, it was Millstone. Today, it would be... Millstone would be a liability. You're filling my graveyard up? Oh, don't mind if you do. Thank you very much. You're basically helping the cause. Josh, with Harmonize. Yeah, we did this one. I didn't go over it that deeply, though. Did this see a whole lot of play in Standard at the time? I think it's still like a Commander All-Star. But competitively, it's like basically crap. It's a green, 2 generic, draw 3 cards. Green is stealing all our stuff. Stealing all the blue players' stuff. And what did blue steal from green? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Crystalline Sliver. I sort of like that. It's, this is like the most insane sliver of them all. It's a 2-mana 2/2. All slivers have Shroud. But it still cannot really see play. It's like slivers are just... They're sort of dead. I guess the problem is Crystalline like the Sliver deck in Legacy is a bit unplayable because the mana base is probably just really way too dubious. And then you could use Crystalline Sliver and say like Pioneer or Modern, but they don't give it to us. I played him Friday. Still playable by Jess. Jess still playing. The Sliver Swarm will change that. I still think they could print this in Modern. Easy. Ancient Ziggurat. That's a pretty good suggestion. Does anyone play this now? It's like, it was the de facto, like, 5 mana producer for, like, creature-based decks. But there's not many of those around anymore. I mean, I guess for the Sliver players. But, like, you know, Slivers is like a tier 4 deck at this point. It's just tap, add 1 mana of any color in your mana pool, but you can only play creature spells off of it, so it's a bit awkward. We mentioned the rack already. Since the Divine Top is broken, it's banned. It's unplayable because it's banned, not because it's... It's unplayable because it's banned, but it's not unplayable because it's bad. Ziggurat is outclassed by other rainbow lands. It could be true. Could be true. Jace's Phantasm. Mildex did used to play this. It was like an alternate way of winning the game. Now I think Mildex just don't even want to play with any creatures whatsoever. So it's a blue 1/1 flyer. But it gets +4 as long as an opponent has 10 or more cards in his or her graveyard. So it's like a 1-man 5/5. It's a 1-mana Terramander, but the other way around. So the Terramander, you gotta fill up your graveyard. In Jace's Phantasm, you gotta fill up your opponent's graveyard. That's a hot one. Fires of Yavimaya, because I played this deck at the time. Why can't we have this in Modern? I think this would be hot. Okay, we have a green, red, 1 generic enchantment. Creatures you control have haste. And you can sack it. Like, this is what makes it... This is the kicker. You can sack this thing to buff up a creature. So you can protect it versus a removal spell. You can make it way harder for your opponents to block in combat. That is deceptively really strong. It's like a seal of protection or seal of... I don't know, seal of buff. Effectively. I think we could have this in Modern. I think it'd be a really cool card in Modern. Everyone's mentioning Big Game Hunter. What was this card? It was a black 1 generic 1/1 human rebel assassin. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. It is looking for that big game. It can't be regenerated and added madness. I will just trust that this was a big madness card at the time. Aether Vial is disqualified. I'd play Aether Vial. As long as I keep playing Aether Vial, then that means it's playable. Otherwise, yeah. Fire and Ice sees play in, like, any Cascade deck, effectively. That's a good one. Acidic Slime. That was occasionally a good standard card. I don't know if this saw play outside of standard, but it was a 5-mana 2/2 with Death Touch. And enters the battlefield, just destroy artifact, enchantment, or land. Usually the land. Everyone hates their lands getting blown up. How about OG creature lands like Treetop Village? Yeah, I could go with that. Treetop Village. Can anyone guess what the creature type is for Treetop Village? Going once. Going twice without looking. Enters the battlefield. Tapped. Tap out a green. Pay a green 1 generic. Treetop Village becomes a 3/3 green ape. A green ape. Creature with trample until end of turn. It is still a land. Well, Abzo, sorry. I guess you're not a huge Treetop Village fan. Elf? Yeah, exactly. It's weird. You would not think that it's an ape. Because you don't even see the ape in the image. Look, you look really close here. Here's some apes here. Dirty apes? Yeah, anyway. The village run by the Planet of the Apes. Josh Karen with the super chat. Castle. At the wall? Is this uncommon? I guess so. The good old wall. I'm sorry, no, it's not a wall. It's an enchantment. Untapped creatures you control get +0/+2. Can't verify if this was really that good or not, though. Redco with Lantern of Insight. Lantern control is a bit dated. Oh, it is stone dead. If you try to play this card, I mean, I don't know. You're just trying to relive the old days. But this card, the whole archetype is just really collapsed. It's a 1-mana artifact. Each player plays with the top card of his or her library revealed. Then you can tap, sack it. Target player shuffles their library. And the whole idea is between this and... There's some artifacts that you can tap, make your opponent mill a card. So the whole point is if you can see the top of your opponent's deck, you just keep milling the good cards into the graveyard. and then let your opponent keep drawing donuts, and then they just eventually lose the game like that. Eventually lose the game. Jacob with the Relentless Rats. Black, 1 generic for a 2/2. Is this uncommon? It is uncommon, alright. It gets +1/+1 for each other creature in play named Relentless Rats. A deck can have any number of cards named Relentless Rats. I will give you this. I don't know if this card was ever good, but I'll give you this. This probably was it's famous. It is a famous card, so it'll qualify. I will qualify very famous cards that still suck, even if it sucked at the time. Galatzen, Murderous Redcap. Oh yeah. The 4-mana 2/2 enters the battlefield. It deals damage equal to its power to any target and has persist. So snipe something down for 2 damage. It dies. Snipe something down for 1. Rob Boy said Veil of Summer. It's still good. Veil of Summer is good. Changed my mind. Oh, of course it's still good. It's banned. It's banned in Pioneer, isn't it? Almond. Playing this deck today is like playing Exodia in its current Yu-Gi-Oh meta. Are you talking about the Relentless Rats? If you can dump all the rats on the battlefield at once. Fire Spout. Amazing card. Probably deserves more love than it actually does right now. So for a Gruul or 2 generic, Gruul and 2 generic, it's a sorcery. So if you spend red, you'll deal 3 damage to all the creatures without flying. If you spend green, you deal 3 damage to all the creatures with flying. Very versatile card. I think this has a lot of potential. I think you could play this in a blue-red flying deck. I think this is really cool. I think it's grossly underplayed. It's a one-sided board wipe. I guess the problem is 3 damage don't deal a whole lot of damage anymore. The new bar is dealing 4 damage. You got to kill them rhinos. What else do we got? We have King Ginger with Super Chat. Buried Alive. Man Alive. We got Man Alive in here. Black 2 generic sorcery. Search your library for up to 3 creature cards. Put them into your graveyard, then shuffle your library. I can't remember how this card was used. Where did it come out? It came out. It was an Odyssey. I think it was a way of like activating, like turning on Threshold and maybe having some stuff with flashback. So it was like a sort of virtual card advantage. Ice Crown Scepter, I think, still sees a little too much play in Commander, even though I think it's also competitive. I think it's competitive. We did Oh, it was definitely played in a Reanimator deck. Bituminous Blast. Bituminous. Is this a Cascade card? I want to say it's like a Jund Cascade card. Okay, I'm sort of right. 5 mana, Cascade, and deals 4 damage to a target creature. I'm sort of right. Station Disaster with Chromatic Star. Seize Play and Tron! It's an artifact. Crack it, add 1 mana of any color, and when it's put into the graveyard from play, draw a card. Still sees play. We did Flame Tongue Kavu. Jaded, we needed you here early. You're naming everything that we've named so far in this show. Price of Progress. You know what? Let's name it, because Price of Progress still sees play in Legacy Burn. But let's be serious. Legacy Burn is just outright unplayable. So this card doesn't see play. So it's a red 1 generic instant. Price of Progress deals damage to each player equal to twice the number of non-basic lands that player controls. The Jade is probably going to come up with some good stuff. Already coming up with all the other cards we already talked to. Yeah, we went through all these cards. The Jaded. Yeah, all these. It's been done. Gutter Snipe. Red 2 generic 2/2. Was this good? Okay, I'll give you this. It's famous. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Gutter Snipe deals 2 damage to each opponent. People love these types of cards. Cabal Therapy sees tons of play. Way too late at home today. All right. I like that one. Condemn. Before white removal got too good. It's a white instant, put target attacking creature on the bottom of its owner's library. Its controller gains life equal to its toughness. That was a good one. It used to be back in the day. Gutter Snape's soft fringe standard play, but yeah, but it sees very heavy casual play, I guess. Aura Shards. The good old 3-mana enchantment. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may destroy target artifact or enchantment. This card is insane. This card is actually just beyond busted. But I guess it just has no home now. Do we have any more super chats? Nope. I got them all. We have one for, we did Vampire Nighthawk. Ghostly Prison Propaganda sees a lot of play in Commander. King Ginger. Was Murmuring Mystic done? Nope. Turns out today's show is hard. So is it going to get harder when we get to rares? Maybe it'll get easier. Uncommons are a tough one. Blue 3 generic 1/5 human wizard. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 1/1 blue bird illusion creature token with flying. That was pretty good at the time. Guilds. Oh, maybe it wasn't. This was a Guilds of... No, yeah, Guilds of Ravnica. Thought this was the original Ravnica. Am I missing it? Does Sinkhole count? No! It's banned and broken. Just trying to see if there's anything else. Nikachu fading us. Goodbye, Canada. Okay, we'll do Murderous Cut. Murderous Cut got cut out by, like, Fatal Push and stuff. It's 5 mana, but it's got Delve. So you can pay 4 generic with Delve and actually only pay 1 black mana. Destroy target creature. Rob Boy, thank you so much for your super chat. I really appreciate it. Our fellow zombie connoisseur. And Almond. Manamorphose. Does this card see play anymore? You could be totally right. Where does Manamorphose see play anymore? I think it's gone. I think it went extinct. It used to be like a huge storm card. It also is good for just activating prowess, and just nobody cares about that anymore. Or maybe there's still some prowess decks playing this, but I think a lot of the decks have gone in the way of the Dodo. You saw it in lands. That's weird. This might be a card that still sees play. Maybe. Ashen! Thanks so much for the super chat. Ashen Rusty. Sisay's Ring count? Let's look. It was uncommon in 7th edition. Yes! Alright, 4 mana. Tap, add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool. Oh, so it's double Soul Ring. It's a very inefficient Soul Ring. And most certainly it does not see play anymore. But, you know, there were a lot of mana rocks like this back then. You know, they picked whatever they could. You don't have a lot of good selection at any given point. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, I think that's it for today. Oh no, we did Burning Tree Emissary. Burning Tree Emissary. Insane combo card. Rattle out all them burning trees. It was a tough show. It was a tough show today. It wasn't easy. A lot of buzzer sounds. A lot of repeats. But thank you very much for joining me. And if you want to be part of the show, you got to be here Monday to Friday, 11 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. Be there, be square. Also, I got to thank everyone for not only for showing up, but also everyone who supports the channel, who are members on YouTube, patrons on Patreon, and those who super chat to help contribute to the show every single day. Thank you so much to all the super chatters. And we got to thank everyone who's also here in the morning, like The Jaded, Platonic Liquid, Jacob, Dam, King Ginger, Jess, Mark Zilla, Steve. We've got Bulky, Rotboy, Zick, Adrian, Toads, Yellowish Nesses, Gallatin, Dem. Who else do we have here? Ashen Rusty, Witherfang, Adrian. Thank you very much for everyone being here this morning. And as usual, my coffee crew, keep brewing up them coffees, and we'll keep brewing up the magic. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you at the next cut.